Hey guys, today we are going to do a mobility session focused on the knees. Now, it's very common if if you have knee pain, you are not alone. Knee pain is a very common thing with a lot of us. It's something that really kind of set me back in my athletic career. Was severe knee pain and not really being able to kind of figure out where it's coming from. So I'm super happy to be able to share this with you guys. If I would have known all of these things, then I could have prevented a whole bunch of issues for myself. So what you guys are going to need today for equipment is a foam roller. Your foam roller is key. Okay, so foam roller. You're going to need a rope or a strap. Okay, towel would work as well too. You can see I have a chair here. Okay, and then the last thing we need is maybe just like an extra mat or a pillow or something like that, basically. And so, like I said, what I'm going to take you guys through is a way to sort of eliminate knee pain, also then to mobilize and then strengthen our knees as well too. Many times we think that we have bad knees, but really, unless you've had catastrophic injuries in there, tearing ACL, MCL, and all those things where everything, the knee becomes very unstable, usually what happens is we don't have bad knees. We have tight muscles and maybe weak muscles or imbalanced muscles that are causing our knee pain. So that's where the foam roller really comes in. And this is the first thing that I'm going to show you guys is the foam roller. So like I said, the key to eliminating knee pain is really working on all the muscles around it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get on the roller and we're going to roll on our quadriceps. So you're going to roll from the top of your knee, not on the bone, but on the top of the knee. Okay, we're going to roll all the way up to the hip. So I'm going to come here and then rolling back. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to roll 5 to 10 times up and down like that. And what I'm doing is I'm getting some circulation there, but I'm also starting to break up some adhesions. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to roll on one side. Now, everything I'm going to show you guys is meant to be as efficient as possible. So generally what happens is that the lateral aspect of your quads are usually tighter than the medial, meaning the outside of our legs. So out here, if you're just to touch it, this out here is usually tighter than the inside. So what happens is your kneecap tracks up and down in a groove. The front of your kneecap looks like this. The top of my hand, it's a nice flat smooth surface. Now the bottom of your kneecap, the back of it, looks more like my knuckles. And so here, if I turn it this way, you can see it has like a little bit of a V shape. And what the back of your knee does is it sits in a groove. So it sits in a groove and then just tracks up and down. Now if those muscles are tight in our quadriceps or imbalanced, it's going to push the kneecap so that it grinds in there. Or the other thing that's going to happen in there as well too is it's going to maybe be pulled on an angle. So if the outside of my quads are tighter, it's maybe going to track my kneecap and sort of pull it a little bit more to the outside. So we need to sort of loosen the muscles so that kneecap floats in the groove again, okay? And then the other thing we have to do is make sure that it's balanced so that way it's not being pulled to one side and then kind of grinding on the outside of our tibia, basically. So, or our femur. So from here, again, we're rolling on the quads. So like I said, 5 to 10 times just up and down. Then you're going to go onto the lateral aspect of your quads. So when you're on the lateral aspect of your quads, I'm not all the way on my IT band, okay? I'm slightly rotated to the front, and I'm going to roll up and down here 5 times. Now, as I'm doing it, what I'm looking for is I'm looking to find those tight spots, those sore spots, and I'm going to pay attention to those. Because what I'm going to do is when I'm done 5 times up and down and getting that circulation there, I'm going to go to those tight spots and those sore spots, and I'm going to hold it there. Then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trigger point, and I'm going to pull my heel towards my bum, and then relax it. I'm going to pull my heel towards my bum, and then I'm going to relax it. And just like that, I'm going to do 5 of those there. And what I'm doing is I'm targeting that spot that is restricting my knee from moving better, and I'm pressing on it, which is going to break up some of the scar tissue, but then I'm also lengthening and stretching at the same time. So I'm going to do 5 of those there on that side, and what I would then do is I'd roll through to see if I have any other spots that are tender like that. What you're going to find is that if you have one knee that's more irritated than the other, that side is going to be more tight. It's going to hurt more, it's going to be more irritated, and so you've got to just spend a little bit of time on there. So I would do, again, 5 of those on any of those sore spots, and then roll up and down through to see. Usually you're going to find maybe 2 or 3 spots like that, okay? When you're done that, you're going to switch, then you're going to do the exact same thing just on the other side. So again, we're looking for those sore spots, rolling up and down 5 times. Okay, when I find them, I'm then holding on there. I'm going to pull the heel to the bum. The other thing I'm also doing is I'm also going to press my hips into the roller while I'm doing it. And you may feel even clicking or even snapping with the tendon across that kneecap. So that's the first thing that we want to do. Now that you guys have kind of loosened up that tissue, got rid of some of those adhesions, what we're going to do next is you guys are going to grab onto a strap. And with the strap, what we're going to do is, now I'm lucky because I can just clip this one up right here. We're going to wrap it around one foot, okay? And from here, what we're going to do is you're going to just lay it down on the front of the body. We're going to take that strap, that towel, whatever it is, and I'm going to pull across to my opposite shoulder. So I have my right foot hooked in here, okay? And then what I have is I have my left hand holding on. It's going over my left shoulder, and I'm going to hold here. And while I'm holding, I'm going to squeeze my glutes and press my hips in the floor. So just like this, I'm going to hold here for a minute. Again, we're trying to correct things, so I want it to lengthen, so I have to hold on for a while. So I'm going to go 1 minute here, okay? And then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to switch sides, and then I'm going to go to the other side. Now, I'm not going to take you guys through this whole time, so you have to watch me do it, but you go 1 minute each side just like that. When you are done there, you're going to get rid of that strap. We're then going to go into a kneeling position. Now, this is where you may want that pad, especially if we have a little bit of irritation. So you might take that pad and just kind of put it under our knee here. And then what we do here is now I want to go into a kneeling lunge position, because not only are our quadriceps kind of connected to that knee pain, but it's the flexors of the hip as well too. So I want to then think about coming forward, and as I come forward, I'm not going to arch my back. I'm going to maintain a neutral spine, but what I am going to do that's key is I'm going to squeeze my bum. I'm going to engage my glute. That's going to set my hips forward. Squeezing your bum is going to push your hips forward, and that's what's going to give us that length here in the hip flexor. So same thing here. I would want to hold for a minute, okay, and then switch sides, and then it'd be going same thing to the other side. Now, if that's feeling good and you're starting to feel like you're getting a little bit of progress, the next level then is here on the chair. And so what we move to on the chair is going to be kind of the same idea. So I'm going to bring my knee down on the pad, my foot up on the chair, and I'm in a lunge position here. Now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my hips forward again, and I'm trying to bring my bum back as close to the chair as I can. Now you really have to watch this one, because this one's a little bit more intense on the knee. There's more pressure in there. So make sure that you're not getting knee pain when you guys are doing it. A little bit of discomfort is okay. Sharp pain is no good. Okay, so we're squeezing the bum, pressing the hips forward, looking for nice length in here. I can also go ahead and reach, even touch my shoulder, and then I'm getting length here through the abs, through the psoas, lengthening the whole body. And again, we're going to go 60 seconds here, and then we would switch sides. Then you'd go 60 seconds the other side. Now, with some of those stretches, you notice that I did a static hold. So it's just a hold. This is, again, for more correction. This is more probably kind of like post-activity stuff. If you were using this for a warm-up, you would do the same things, except you would maybe just move in, move out, move in, move out. So it's a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more ballistic. So for example, if I was doing my kneeling one here, okay, I have my knee down. Instead of me just coming forward and then holding for a minute, what I would do is I'd lunge forward here, bring myself back. Lunge forward, bring myself back, lunge forward. So I'm still getting all the blood to the tissue. I'm still going to increase the range of motion, the length. But what I'm not doing is I'm not teaching that tissue kind of to relax essentially and sort of go to sleep, which is what happens when we do some of our static stretching. That's why we do all of the static stretching afterwards. So when you guys have done that, we also want to do some dynamic movements as well too. Even if you're post-activity, okay, or kind of end of the day, but especially if you guys are doing something before activity. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go feet nice and close together, and I'm just going to drive my knees over my toes and then come back. And I'm going to come into kind of like a nice deep squat, keeping my feet together here. So I'm going to go 10 of those here. So now I'm starting to bend the knees, and I can even just go hands out here, okay? So I'm going to do 10 of those like that. Driving the knee forward over the toes is a movement, is a range of motion that we want to do. Now we don't want to be loaded. I don't want to put a bunch of weight on my back and then squat and do that technique, okay? But it is a movement that I want to have the strength to do and the mobility to do. So we want to practice that. Then from there, if that's feeling good and you want to intensify it, then you can go ahead and you can squat down, you can walk your knees to the floor, come back up here, and then stand yourselves back up out of it, come back down here, bring ourselves back up. We do 5 of those like that, and if you want to progress that and make that a little bit more challenging, we start by standing nice and tall. I then will extend my knees here. I'll come all the way down to the ground, and then I'm going to hook the toes, and then come back up in a standing position here. Coming back down. Again, got to have healthy knees for this. This is kind of another level, just sort of trying to prevent some of those issues. So that's just forward. We can also add a little bit of lateral movement as well too, which are just nice little circles. So I go hands on my knees here, I go little circle, stop, circle, stop, circle, stop, circle, and then I can go 10 each way, and that gets us just moving a little bit more in a rotational direction. So we're getting kind of all angles of the tissue around the knee. So those are sort of really the big ones there. Again, we want to foam roll first, okay? That's breaking up all the scar tissue. It's gonna allow us to really then kind of make actual significant changes, and it's also increasing our blood flow in there. That one is the biggest one because you can target that one spot or those 2 spots that are running down the leg, inserting down here in the tibia, that are really kind of causing your knee problems, okay? So that roller is key. The static stretches then are huge. If we're doing before activity, we're just going to move in and then relax, and then move in and then relax, because we're not trying to teach our tissue to go to sleep. Now the last thing that I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to show you a strength exercise as well too. So again, we don't just want muscles that are loose, we want muscles that are supple, and we want muscles that are strong, okay? So the last exercise that I'm going to show you guys here is just an isometric contraction for the quad, and I'll show you from the side first. So all I would do here is sitting in a chair, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a leg and I'm just going to lift it up, I'm going to hold it in the air, and I'm going to extend, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to engage my VMO, okay, my vastus medialis here, so the inside of the knee, that's where I'm squeezing. I'm going to hold for 10, and then I'm going to relax, and then I'm going to come back up, and I'm going to hold for 10 seconds here, and then I'm going to relax. I'm going to do 5 of those like that. I'll show you guys from the front. All I'm doing is just extending the leg, holding, squeezing in that quad, on the medial part of the quad. Again, usually we're stronger out here, tighter out here. So this is where we want to engage, is on that medial aspect of the quad. That's what's going to help that knee track a little bit better. The other thing creating contractions in here does as well too, it stimulates your tissue to regrow. So we're teaching our muscles to get stronger, okay? And then a strong muscle is going to turn a thin, sort of brittle elastic band into a thicker, stronger one. And so that's why we want to do the strength one. So that isometric leg extension is huge. You can work your way all the way up from 10 seconds to 60 seconds, and you can add 10 seconds every week. So one week we'd go 10 seconds on, and then we go 10 seconds off, and do that 5 times. Then you guys can go 20 seconds on, and then 10 seconds off, and then 30, 40, all the way up to 60, okay? So that's a really great strength exercise. And then the other one that's an awesome strength exercise as well too is just a quarter squat. So in our quarter squat, now we're starting to get into a little bit of function. So I would start off probably holding on to something. I move my hips back, I'm gonna push through my floor, and I'm gonna squeeze at the top of the body, sit back here, push through the floor, squeeze at the top. Same thing, same idea here. I'm trying to engage the inside of my knee, so that medial quad, okay? But I'm also going to learn to engage my glutes as well too. Sometimes knee pain can come from a little bit of tracking issues, and that can happen as well too. Improper tracking can happen if we're weak in our glutes and our knees are sort of rotating into the inside of the body. So by strengthening that, again, I can use a wall. I can just go body weight if I want to make it a little bit more challenging. But here, now I'm using my glute, I'm using my ankle, I'm teaching my whole body to be nice and strong. And you'll see sideways, all I'm doing is coming down here, little, push to the floor, squeeze at the top, sit back, push to the floor, squeeze at the top like that. And I'd be starting off with 10 reps, and then you can increase 10, 15, 20, 25, up to 30 reps. If you're getting into 30 reps like that and your knees are feeling good, then you should be able to start kind of adding in a little bit more weight, maybe starting to do more kind of 2-foot parallel squats, and then maybe even adding some weight there. And so that really is the transition, but we have to make sure that we have the range of motion first. The roller is key, okay? You can roll every single day. You can roll a couple times a day, especially if you're only spending kind of 5 minutes on it. Don't be spending an hour on your quads right away. It's going to be too much. So that's your mobility session. Again, for the knees, this one should take you guys about 15 minutes to do, and we'll make a